Welcome back to a special edition of Squawk Box. We are live in Omaha, Nebraska with Berkshire Hathaway's chairman and CEO, Warren Buffett. Warren, we're just sitting down with you for the first time since the news last week that Kraft Heinz put out. There was so much news, it's hard to even summarize it all. They came out with earnings that missed expectations. They said, by the way, it's not going to get better in 2019. They revealed that there's an SEC investigation taking place into accounting. They wrote down the value of the brands by just over $15 billion. Were you surprised by any of this news? What did you think of what happened? Because the street was surprised. The stock was down over 30%.
Yeah. Well, I may have learned a week or 10 days before about something like the SEC investigation. I'm not on the board, but Greg's on the board, and I talked to Greg, and Greg had been talking a lot to the head of the audit committee, and he's a terrific guy, Jack Pope. But the write-down, I do my own write-downs in my mind. So I was not surprised by that, although the accounting firms look at write-downs a little differently than I do, but I would not argue with them on it, and I can give you some math that would substantiate it. I've been watching. I was wrong in a couple ways on Kraft Heinz, but I think we talked the Glide luncheon time about the packaged goods brands losing some ground against the retailers.
What was that, just over a year ago?
6 months ago.
Okay.
The Glide, the packaged goods companies are always in a struggle with retailers. Our family had a grocery store for 100 years, and we went through it. Then we didn't have much bargaining power. But the really strong brands, they can go toe-to-toe with Walmart or Costco or whomever it may be. But the weaker brands tend to lose out. Now, the interesting thing about Kraft Heinz is it's still a wonderful business in that it uses about $7 billion of tangible assets and earns $6 billion pre-tax on that. So on the assets required to run the business, $7 billion, they earn $6 billion roughly after depreciation pre-tax. But we and certain predecessors, but primarily we paid $100 billion more than the tangible assets. So for us, it has to earn on $107 billion, not just on the $7 billion that the business employs. And we don't have a way. It'd be wonderful if we had a way to deploy another $7 billion and earn $6 billion, but it isn't there. So I think that when you're going toe-to-toe with a Walmart or a Costco or maybe an Amazon pretty soon, and you have a modestly good brand, maybe one where the trend's a little against or something like that, you've got the weaker bargaining hand than you had 10 years ago. The really classic situation is this, if you think about it, Becky. Heinz was started in 1869. Mm-hmm. So they've had all that time to develop various products, particularly ketchup, things like that. The Kraft part of it's a little more murky, but it goes back to C.W. Post in 1895. Those companies have brought all kinds of brands out, all kinds of, you know them, you had them when you were a kid, you have them now, some of them. They've been distributed worldwide through tens and hundreds of thousands of outlets. They've had hundreds of millions of trials. They spent a fortune on advertising. And their sales now are $26 billion. Costco introduced the Kirkland brand in 1992, 27 years ago. And that brand did $39 billion last year, whereas all the Kraft and Heinz brands did 26 or 7 billion. So here they are, 100 years plus, tons of advertising, built into people's habits and everything else. And now Kirkland, a private label brand, comes along and with only 750 or so outlets, does 50% more business than all the Kraft Heinz brands. So house brands, private label, is getting stronger. It varies by country around the world, but it's bigger, and it's going to keep getting bigger.
Okay, a couple of questions on that. First of all, does that mean you overpaid?
Well, we did overpay. We didn't overpay for Kraft. For Heinz. We bought that originally. It was a 50-50 deal. It's private.
50-50 deal with 3G.
Pardon me?
With 3G.
Yeah, with 3G. We had two stockholders. And then we overpaid for Kraft, and we wrote down 15 billion of that, and that and that's the CPA's way of looking at it. Actually, the markets marked it down more than that, and probably quite properly. I mean, the thing to remember is, like, you know how the stock doesn't know you own it. You pay $10 for a stock, it goes to 8, and you think if it gets back to 10, I'll sell it. And if it goes up to 20, you say I can sell half of it and take all my money out. All those things are nuts. But in business, if we paid $7 billion for Kraft, which is all it takes to run the business, it would still earn the same amount as if we paid the $100 billion premium. The business does not earn more just because you pay more for it. And we not only, after buying Kraft, everybody started speculating about things we buy, so the prices of everything went up. And then on top of it, we paid large premiums for it, and we misjudged it.